In the Maine Senate election, Janet Mills has finally announced that she is dropping out of the primary. And of course, this is already creating a lot of different reactions from Democrats. Uh, and looks like Graham Platner is going to be the nominee now. There's already been polls that show that Janet Mills was not a strong candidate in this race, and that having her be the nominee was basically going to risk Democrats' chances of taking back the Senate. She was not leading a lot of polls, but Graham Platner is winning in most of the polls that he is in against Susan Collins. So now that she dropped out, you are seeing a bunch of Zionist Democrats saying that they now support Susan Collins and that they're upset that Graham Platner is going to be the nominee. But they didn't have a problem with Janet Mills being the nominee, despite her unpopularity and her basically being a uh, moderate Republican. I can't really tell the differences between her and Susan Collins, but uh, now these people want Susan Collins to win over Graham Platner. And a lot of these people were the same people that criticized leftists when leftists demanded that we actually have a Democrat as our nominee that will be opposed to genocide, and that we want a Democrat that supports universal health care and all these other progressive things. Leftists were accused of trying to get Trump elected when these are the people that want Susan Collins to have 6 more years in the United States Senate. By the way, Maine is likely going to end up deciding like which party ends up winning the Senate. Democrats won't win the Senate without Maine. So if Susan Collins wins again, that is going to mean that Republicans are likely going to keep the Senate and continue to do the same stuff they've been doing for the past 2 years. So the it really shows like these people are a liability to the party. And having a candidate like Graham Platner that is actually trying to, like, of course he's not perfect, but he ran a great campaign, reaching out directly to the people and running on an actual progressive platform. And a lot of these Blue MAGA people that would rather have a Republican win do not want a change in the Democratic Party at all and want to continue with the failed establishment policies, the same establishment candidates like Janet Mills. And now you even have Brianna Wu, a former progressive activist, now just becoming a Israel first Zionist. And of course, she does not like Graham Platner. She's uh, criticizing him being the nominee, and obviously she uh, likely won't be supporting him against Susan Collins in the general election. And I don't know if she was supporting Janet Mills, but she like I don't know if she I think she supported Kamala Harris, but she is another person that is very anti Graham Platner. So I'm gonna play the clip of what she had to say.
Week for the Democratic Party's future, y'all, and I want to talk about it because the only reason we are competitive right now for the midterms is because of Donald Trump. He's a vote losing machine and always has been. I want to talk about what's going on in Maine because this is really scary for the future of my party, the Democratic Party. So, we are running a candidate named Graham Platner who has not just a Nazi tattoo, an SS tattoo. And just in case you're not educated enough on Holocaust history to know this, like it's not enough to have Nazi ideology on your body. He actually went and got the ideology of the people that planned and executed the Holocaust and acted as the secret police. So that's a thing. And this isn't a new development. We Democratic operatives knew about this months ago. Many of us were calling for our party to drop him. We had tons of time to find a non Nazi conspiracy theorist loving candidate, and we just chose to do nothing. And now I'm looking at Twitter last night. John Favreau, Democratic Party, is out here just wholeheartedly endorsing this guy. It's insane. And I've got to tell you something. Like,
The Democratic Party is endorsing him because he ran a campaign that over 60% of the Democrats that were polled in a lot of the polls wanted to support. And that just proves the point that I've been making, is that progressive candidates are more electable than these establishment candidates. And that's why Janet Mills could not poll over 25%. And like, for a current governor, that is very bad for her. And like, had she stayed in the race, like, she would have done worse. I think that would have been humiliating for her, and a very bad end of a political career for her. But a lot of these smears, like against Graham Platner, is mostly because he's a progressive. If Graham Platner was a Zionist moderate Democrat, I don't think a lot of these people would be criticizing him like this. But we will definitely have to see whether, like, the primary is like in a month, and we'll have to see if Democrats actually get behind Graham Platner and give their full support behind him, or will we see some of these moderate Democrats try to support Susan Collins, uh, just because they don't like Graham Platner? And it's overall, it's very interesting to see them in their them not supporting Graham Platner and accusing leftists of having purity tests, when they're kind of doing the same thing with Graham Platner, a progressive candidate. And uh and this could end up costing Democrats the Senate.